Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the British Tier 8 Premium Medium tank, the Inferno Chimera. Now the Inferno Chimera is another Halloween tank and it is the Chimera Tier 8 Premium Medium tank. Naturally it's British, but it's got a buttload of spaced armour on it, and by that it's on the turret mostly, and that is it's got a big lion's mane. Well, it's a chimera, it's a lion's mane, but it's a chimera, right, because that's basically what a chimera is. And it's basically 50mm of spaced armour over the front of the Chimera's turret, which the Chimera's turret is already pretty thick at 203mm, and then they add an extra 50mm of spaced armour on the front, and that makes it 250 just raw thickness, essentially, with the spaced armour, which then has its own mechanics in blocking shots. Essentially, the turret becomes exceptional. And I mean, the turret is exceptional for a Tier 8 medium tank. So you can go hull down in this Chimera very, very easily. It makes this tank flat out better than the other version of the tank, which is that one there, the proper Chimera. It makes it flat out better because it's the same in every other way except for the lion's mane on the turret, which makes it just so powerful when it's hull down. Because you can bounce APCR from E4s, for example, off this turret quite reliably at times, which is hilarious, by the way, because they sit there going, "What? How is this guy doing this?" And it's like, that's because my turret is fantastic, mate. So yeah, this tank is a hull down god. You want to get it to the position where it's hull down and absolutely laugh at tanks. It's got pretty reasonable mobility. It's got 50km/h top speed, which it hits, which makes it pretty decent for getting to those aggressive positions and be able to get hull down. You got decent view range. The hull armour in itself is okay. It's not the best, it's not the worst, but it can be usable. I mean, you can side scrape with this tank as well pretty nicely, which is definitely a feature. You just got to be careful that there is a little, like, side cheek on the hull that is only about 80-something millimeters of thickness, which means that if you do try to side scrape, you actually make that even weaker, right? So that's a part that they can catch and pen, which is very, very awkward at times. So you just got to bear that in mind if you do side scrape, but you can do it. But hull down is where you want this tank to be. And then you can slap out the rounds with this humongous alpha gun for a medium tank at Tier 8. That is, it's got 440 alpha on this gun, which is beautiful. You trade so well, and it hits like an absolute truck on this gun, which is a 127mm, I believe. It's a 5-inch gun. I think it's 127mm, which means that there's a lot of tanks that you can overmatch. Well, if you take the Swedish tanks is the one I'd say, right? A lot of tanks won't be able to overmatch any of the Swedish tanks at Tier 8. Or should I say, if you're a Tier 8 attacking like the Swedish Tier 9 and Swedish Tier 10, this tank can. And it has a good lot of fun doing it. Like that SDR V1030, you don't have to worry about not being able to pen it, because once you've got a gun that's 122mm caliber plus, which this tank does, you go straight through it. So the caliber is very, very nice. 440 alpha's nice. What's the downsides? Well, the two downsides really for the tank are that the gun handling is not very nice. It tends to miss a few shots at times, which can be pretty irritating. You've already seen that in this game so far with some of the misses on the standard B, and you're going to see it as this replay progresses. Some of the shots it just misses, which just can be a little bit irritating, because like I said, the gun handling ain't the best. If you run the setup that I've got, you get it down to 0.34, which isn't too bad, but your accuracy during movement and during rotation is still pretty awful. And then your aim time is also not very good at 2.7 with this setup I've got too. And your velocity is 732 meters a second on the AP and 914 on the APCR, which, like I say, adds to the fact that this tank is very, very derpy. It feels that way in terms of the shell velocity too, which, yeah, so you got to bear that in mind. And the other weakness with it is obviously that the penetration is also a little bit sad on the AP at 202, but you do have 252 penetration on the APCR, which is good enough for most you're going to face, unless you're facing some of the super heavies at Tier 10. So 252 is decent, especially since it's APCR and not heat as well. That adds to it as well. But the AP penetration at 202 is a little bit sad. But on the whole, this Inferno Chimera is an absolutely fantastic Tier 8 premium tank. It always has been, and realistically, I still think the only thing that this tank needs, and especially its unskinned cousin, its unskinned brother, cousin, sibling, whatever, that tank desperately needs something, because it does struggle compared to this, because it doesn't have the flexibility and the fact that the turret is good on that tank. A bit of a penetration buff on the standard round, make it 215, 220, something like that would be quite nice. But hey ho. What do I run in terms of a crew on the Inferno Chimera? Well, on the Inferno Chimera, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Trap Mechanic, Rapid Aim. Rapid Aim to make the turret traverse better, because the turret traverse on this tank is pretty slow, so I do want to make it better. I want to try and get it to catch up with the tracks if I humanly can do. And then I run all the gun perks because, as you've already heard, the gun is exceptionally derpy. So I want to make sure that this gun can get somewhat accurate, and even then it's still not that accurate at times. And then yeah, I trap mechanic, rapid aim, let's say rapid aim to make the turret traverse as good as possible, and then trap mechanic to get the tracks back on it if I do get tracked, because I do play it more brawly, because it is a more brawly medium tank. It's more like a heavy tank really than a medium tank in the way that it plays, in terms of that aggressive hull down play style. You bounce all the shots off your turret and laugh. It's pretty nice for that. So that's why I run it more like a heavy tank crew than I do a medium tank crew, where you might go for something like camo. And then in terms of equipment, I run the advanced loader, vertical stabilizers, and optics, or gun stabilizer. I run the optics to be able to get the view range as good as possible, because with this sort of setup you do get 486 meters of view range. I run the vertical stabilizer to make this gun, again, as good as possible, and the advanced loader to make the DPM as good as possible. So far in this game, we've managed 4,000 damage, 797 assistance. I see this Stone Cold thing. I can take a hit. He's got 280 alpha. RNG said no, and he high rolls and finishes us off. So we end up finishing that game with the 3 kills, 4,000 damage, the first class, 797 assistance, 1937 base XP, a pretty decent game for the Inferno Chimera there. Really, we made a mistake at the end there. We should have probably stopped back a little bit, waited for the Stone Cold to actually crest over that ridgeline, and then we could have finished him off. But what happened is that we pushed a little bit aggressively, because I thought, well, like I say, naturally, that tank has 280 alpha. So, well, you know, if a Stone Cold comes at me with his 280 alpha, yo, bro, do it, because you're going to have to get lucky and high roll to kill me. Never did I count in my million years that, yeah, he was going to high roll. But really, again, realistically, I should have just countered the RNG and just sat back a little bit further when I saw he was actually charging and coming around, because then I would have been able to, you know, kill him and survive, basically. So, we're on to the second replay, and the second replay, we are on this map, which is Lakeville. And on Lakeville, we've come to the valley, because like I say, the Inferno Chimera, being one of the tanks that you can earn in the Halloween earn-up at the minute, or the Monster Hunter earn-up, is it? Something called like that? This tank is very, very good at hull down. And I wanted to go hull down because, well, this is where I want to be. The valley is perfect for it. As you can see, we can slap in the big rounds. So we put a shot into that Stark STRV S1. And the T-77 has gone ill-advisedly aggressive through the 2 line there, because he's pushed very, very fast straight through their team, and really it's doing us a solid, because it's actually distracted them, and like this Mauerbrecher has given us some lovely shots into his ass, which we're going to happily take. And the two heavy tanks over here have also been distracted, and meant that we can basically keep farming them. T-77 has somehow managed to survive this run and got to C2 as well. And now the Chrysler K has turned around. It's like, well, we have to go now. We've won. There's no one else really here. We have to go. We've loaded the APCR for the Chrysler because, well, if he turned frontally onto us with our standard 202 AP pen, we aren't going to go through that guy's lower plate. We need the APCR, so that's what we'd loaded. But now the Chrysler is dead. We go back to the standard AP, and we're going to come round and see if we can get a shot into this Stark STRV S1. And unfortunately, our RNG does not go for us, and we end up hitting the floor, so we don't quite get a shot into that guy. But we're going to try and use this little ridge here to try and keep ourselves hull down and covered, and get some shots into the tanks that are now on the corner. So we get a nice shot there into the VK3001D. The Stark is trying to run away, which I don't want to happen. We boost our reload with food to see if we can get the shot in time. We can't, and then we finish off the 3001D with a second shot. We ended up 2-shotting that poor tier 7 medium tank. Or is that the... Is the 3001D the tier 6 or the tier 7? Actually, I feel like the 3001D is the tier 6, right? Yeah, it's the tier 6. So we shut down that poor little tier 6 medium tank. The Stark STRV gets spotted at the back. We finish him off. I didn't want that guy to survive because he has very good camo, and there's a possibility that he could just get himself unspotted. Now we've got the piggy at the back. We get a shot into that piggy, put him down to a one-shot. He is aiming towards us. I'm just like, stay there, piggy. Let me get my reload in. He gets unspotted, but we know just about where he was, so we put the shot in and finish off the artillery. We're up to 3 kills with 4,002 damage. We're now going in on Wojciech, hoping to get the reload in to shut this guy down. He bounces off our hull, and unfortunately we don't quite get the shot in to kill him as the Emil 1951 finishes him off. But we're going to charge to try and get behind this Trinity that is on the lake road at G4. But just before we get there, we spot the Lycan, and as this shell velocity is atrocious, we really make sure that we led that target very, very well to be able to hit that Lycan, which we did. Now the defender's crossing the open. We get the shot straight through that guy's side. We switch to APCR, because even on the side of a defender, it can be a little bit tricky to pen if you hit the wrong spot. So we load the APCR to guarantee that we're going to go through it. Plus, if we were to fire at that distance against the defender, it'd make it a little bit easier as well to fire at the distance, because like I say, you really have to give it some lead on this AP. Now we're coming against this Trinity Mark II. We put a shot into him. I'm hoping to finish him off with the ram. With 132, we don't quite finish him off. He puts a shot into us. I really have to kill him with this, and thankfully we do. That shot, though, from the Trinity makes that Draugen that we've just looked at over there, makes it so that we're now a one-shot for that guy. So we have to be very, very careful when we're going against this Draugen. I know, with the fact that we were detected, I thought, oh, he's in that bush still probably on that ridge, or, you know, just next to the ridge at K7. So we're just going to try and see if we could blind fire it. But now we're not detected, I'm thinking, is he still there? I don't think he's there anymore, but we do have to be very, very careful, because we are a one-shot for the Draugen. We don't want to get shut down. So we're just waiting for this Draugen to get spotted, because there is a medium tank currently charging in. And the hope is that he either gets spotted and pushes into a position where I can shoot him, or, well, he just gives us a shot by falling back into a position we can shoot as well. But he's stuck behind the ridge, and the Ragnarok ends up shutting him down. We'll finish the game with a really nice total for the Inferno Chimera, which is the tank you can earn in the Halloween earn-up. A very, very good choice. 4 kills, 5.5k damage, bit of assistance, the ace tank of the high caliber. 2,035 base XP, a really nice game for the Inferno Chimera, which is a solid tier 8 premium. It's amazing at being hulled down. You've just got to put up with the gun handling being a bit atrocious, and the fact that the reload is obviously a bit longer as well, because it does have that 440 alpha, which is a little bit longer than most of others in the, well, it's a little bit higher than most of others in tier 8. So it's balanced out by less DPM. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.
A great success!